Welcome to the Celtics Rewind. I'm JP.
And I am Nat The GM. What's up, y'all?
Oh, man, the greatest quote of 2024. Man, it feels so good to be a Boston Celtic. Oh, it feels so good to be wearing green. Oh, it feels so good to be Jason Tatum. It feels so good to be Jaylen Brown, Al Horford, Del White, Drew Holiday, Luke Cornett, Sam Hauser, Peyton Pritchard, Quetta. It just feels good to be a Boston. Brad Stevens, Joe Mazzulla, everybody. It feels so good to be a Boston Celtic. Man, this is Celtics Rewind, talking about your 2024 NBA champions, Boston Celtics. I am JP the Champ right here, and I have my co-host with me. Did you change your name too? It used to be Nat The GM, but now it's called Nat The Champ. Nat, what's going on?
Hey. I'm excited. Like I'm over the moon. Like, we finally did it. Just like we set out to do. 2023 October, we had said that from day one, this was the team. We knew this was the team. We knew we were going to get it done. And that's exactly what we did. We must be one of the very few teams I can think in recent memory that set out to, literally say, we're going to win this, and did just that, and people know we are going for this championship, and we stuck to it, and they did it, so I don't know. Like, I'm so happy. I'm so excited. I've been alive for 2 Celtics championships. There's a lot of teams that can't even get to the third round, let alone a championship. And I've witnessed 2 of them, so this is exciting, and I think that what baffles me the most is, and I said this a little bit on Twitter, I remember when other teams won championships, and although I'm a diehard Celtics fan and everyone knows this, I was very excited for, Giannis getting his first ring. I was always excited for Golden State, and that was even when they beat us, because I had them beating us. I said, I don't think we're going to win this at all. I was like, this is just not our time. You can just tell, they don't know how to shift momentum yet. They don't know how to make them go at their pace yet. They're still chasing the Warriors. I was like, it's not their time, and I was happy for Steph because he had done something and got an MVP, finals MVP, but he's one of my favorite players. So it was easy for me to be happy for Golden State. They beat us, but I'm a very logical person. So my feelings don't necessarily take over, all the time, like some people, and I was happy for Denver, because I thought that they were going to, get to the finals. And I was hoping versus us, but it didn't happen. But I was so happy for them. When Boston wins anything, everyone is just always upset. And I don't understand it. Like, it's a game, it's a sport that we all love, but people are always mad. And it's like, you can't call Jason Tatum a loser anymore. You got to call him a winner. You got to say that the Jays work. And I guess people are upset because that messes up, their theories or their narratives and all that stuff like that. Oh, it doesn't work. It does work, And then people have tried this whole thing. Well, you said, I'm like, yeah, I said a lot of things that I'm not going to take back. I said it. For years, I had thought that it wasn't going to work, but I had my reasons behind that. The way they played together, the coaching, the fact that we needed more at the big man positions, and the fact that the bench was thin. Marcus Smart was a big part of that. Although we love him, I'd never felt like it was going to happen with him. And I felt like Boston was just too much tugging on the heartstrings as opposed to making logical decisions. So I was like, maybe they do need to trade one of them, and I always said trade Jaylen. I never shied away from that, and even when the whole thing with KD came up, I said, it's Kevin Durant. How do you not, go and get Kevin Durant? That was 2 years ago. That makes sense to me, but I think that was like right after we had lost the finals, and
Yeah.
since then, I kind of eased up on, trade this person, trade that person. Now I was good, after last season, this season, I was okay because I'm like, I see what's going on now, and they're starting to learn how to play together the best, right now. They're starting to get it, and then you finally make the decision to trade Marcus Smart. And I thought it was a brilliant decision. And I was like, okay, they really want to win. Okay, now I know they want to win, and then they go get, KP first. And I was like, God, I wanted on this team for 3 or 4 years. I was like, he fits perfect with what Boston wants to do. They need a big man that can score, that can stretch the floor, that can defend better than what they think he can and what they thought he could, and and just a guy just to, just to stretch the floor and where you kill a zone. He's a zone killer, you can't do that zone shit with him,
Nah.
And then they go and get Drew because all of a sudden Drew is thrown away like like some
thank you bucks,
lost goods or bad goods or something. Like food. I was like, I always looked at Milwaukee and I said, oh, I think you traded the wrong person. You're not looking at the roster correctly.
Right.
I was like, okay. I was like, okay, Drew is the one. So I was like, all right. So then they, ship him to Portland, and then we're like, okay, give me that. We'll take him. So now we've done all this replacing, and we kept Horford. Then we got KP. Now we got Drew. We already had Derek White, and we got the Jays. I'm like, this is nice, But I still had like a little issue with the bench. We all know this. I don't take anything back, people. I don't do that. I say what I say. It's what it is. I don't care if I'm wrong, I was like, but I stand on what I say, and we had Peyton Pritchard. Everyone knows for years I've been trying to trade Peyton Pritchard. I think since he touched down in Boston.
Yeah.
And he grew this year, this season. And that was nice to see. Love O'Shea. O'Shea might be my favorite guy on the bench, right now. I just love O'Shea, and I really hope he's a Celtic next year.
Me too.
But he's been just a highlight, for that bench, because even when he's not playing, he's impacting, the game. He has a great attitude. All he looks like he's so happy to be a Celtic, and I love it. Luke Cornett played some valuable minutes all season.
Yes, he did.
These are 3 guys that you would technically write off, and they came here and they made a significant difference. There were times when Cornett would start, or he'd be the first one off the bench, and there were times when he'd get a double-double. There were times when he'd get a key. There's times that he got a key block. I mean, it's just like this team, the way people have grown. So I think it's only right when a team grows and a player grows, you have to grow with them. You can't keep your same, point of view from a year ago or 2 years ago if they're not that same player, So that's what I did, I kind of just grew with them, and after a while I was like, okay, this Peyton Pritchard thing might work, actually. Luke coming off the bench, might be a thing, and then we go and get Tillman. And I was super excited to get Tillman because I remember playing against Tillman. I was like, this guy, he's nice. I like him. I really do. I like him. And luckily we have him. Now I see what they're trying to do. They're trying to, I think, work him into being that Al kind of guy in the next couple of years. And I think he'll play a lot more next year. I believe he's still under contract. So they're just top to bottom. This team just made sense. And they have seemed like the most focused bunch out of the whole league. I don't think any other team was as focused as the Boston Celtics for winning a championship. And they stuck to it. They never shied away from adversity. They were literally the best team all season, and people did not want to give them that. And if you think about it, people were so stuck on Denver and what Denver did last year, they weren't looking at what they were doing this year. They did not realize that Denver actually had a lot of losses that were a little shaky, but they never talked about it. People got really excited about OKC, and granted, OKC is a fun young team, very undersized. They depend on a rookie and Chet, to man that paint, and they're really thin, at the 4 and the 5, so they need more experience as well. It's a very young team, but people were ready to believe in them, before the Celtics. Milwaukee, Milwaukee was a little shaky. A little shaky. I'm being very nice. They were shaky all season, It didn't matter who was on the floor for them. And because of the name Dame and the name Giannis and that duo, they were ready to pick them over the Celtics, Then let's look at Minnesota. Minnesota, everyone, Ant Jordan this, Ant Jordan that. They were ready to believe in Minnesota. Not one team I named right now. Not one. And you can go down to the Clippers, you can go down to Dallas, you can go to Phoenix. Not one of those teams played better than Boston all season.
Facts.
Not. And you did not want to give Boston the credit. I don't know what it is about, like when it's about the Celtics, but people get so emotional when it comes to this team that there's no longer, we're not talking about the facts of anything. Now all of a sudden the stats don't matter. I just don't like you. I don't think you can do it. It's always just about Boston, where things just don't make sense every single time. And this team also had injuries and guys out through the year. KP missed about 20-something games. Horford sat out. Drew sat out. There was times where Jaylen sat out. Tatum sat out, probably the least, because he's the most durable star in the league. Always available, takes care of his body. But we missed a lot too. We weren't without adversity, but we were focused. And you still didn't want to give us that. Now people get to the playoffs. And the saying is, you guys have the easiest path to a chip.
I don't get that either. I don't get it.
Versus teams that were never going to beat us in the first place. It's not our fault that Philadelphia could not get past New York.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what you say. Oh, this person was hurt. If he was hurt, he shouldn't have played.
Yeah.
But that's the excuse. But this is the thing. You had your full team out there. You couldn't get past New York.
Yep.
So then you're gone first round. Milwaukee, they say, oh, we needed Giannis. Okay. You're missing your best player. Absolutely. I understand that. But then you go to say that Indiana is not much competition. They have nobody. Their best player is Nembhard. Why couldn't you beat Nembhard? If they weren't that good in the first place, and it's Nembhard that was the best player and all this stuff, and they don't have a top 10 player, and all this stuff. This is what people say. This is what people have said all season. Why did you need Giannis to beat them? You shouldn't have needed Giannis. It should have just happened. You still had Dame for quite a few of those games. You still had Chris Middleton, who played very well, might I add. You still had Bobby Portis, one of the best 6 men in the league.
Facts.
I don't understand why Giannis is the reason you lost to a team that you just said is a nobody that Boston just beat. Doesn't add up. It doesn't add up, So then you move on to the second round and you have New York and Indiana. And then you have us and Cleveland. Cleveland was never going to beat us.
No.
Never. Why? What are you arguing about? Cleveland never had a chance to beat the Boston Celtics.
They did not.
Never had a shot.
Nada.
And then Indiana beats this same New York team. Now, New York, I think that people think because they beat Philly and because they beat Indiana, or gave Indiana a run for their money, that maybe you were going to beat Boston. We're not Philly. We're not Philly.
No.
We don't care if you beat Philadelphia. We beat Philadelphia every year.
Yep.
Philadelphia hates us.
Yep.
We literally have a delusional Joel Embiid say, well, they played nobody and I was hurt. You're hurt every year, or when you're healthy. You can't beat us. It does not matter. You have been swept by us before. You have gone out in 7 games before. But remember what I just said, you've always lost. It doesn't matter how it happens. You always lose to Boston. Your health has nothing to do with it. You guys are not a good matchup for us. We are better than you. So even believing in New York because Jaylen Brunson was playing the opposite Maxey, I don't understand that. I'm lost. Josh Hart has an out-of-body experience. I love Josh Hart. He's one of my favorite players in the league. But he doubles his points from 9 to about 19, 20 points. You're playing Indiana. You're playing Philly. I mean, this is not Boston. So I just didn't understand it. I don't understand what's wrong with people. You beat one does not mean you're going to beat the other. You know, it's all matchups based, and they did not match up well with us.
Nope.
No one did.
Mm-mm.
Except there was one team.
I know who it is.
There was one team. And it was in the West.
Mm-hmm.
And they could not make it to the finals.
Yep.
They never made it.
Yep.
They didn't make it. It's not our fault. It's not a problem. But then we beat Indiana. We sweep them. You didn't play anybody. You people say the East sucks every year. Who the fuck were we going to play regardless to you where you were going to give us credit? The East was weak. Okay, that's your assumption. Yet Indiana gave us a hell of a bigger fight than our finals matchup, I'll be honest. Indiana was a headache, because they can score on anybody. And I kept saying that. They can put 130 points on anybody.
Yeah.
It does not matter who you are. They are going to score on you. Why? Because they're better than what you think that they are.
Yes.
Just because somebody doesn't name, because they're not top 10, you people don't pay attention. Y'all just don't pay attention. Y'all don't care. I gave a shit. I watched Indiana all year. That was one of my favorite league pass teams to watch. Because, boy, I knew if they was playing, it was going up. 125, it was going up. They can't defend nobody, but they was going to put an effort in at key points. It was going up. It was going to be a fun game. Y'all didn't watch because you're looking for top 10 players. That's the only thing that draws you to the league. I'm sorry, that's not how I think. I love basketball, so I'm going to watch everybody. I watched Orlando. I watched Cleveland. I watched OKC. I watched Detroit. I watched the Kings. I watched Golden State. I watched the Clippers. I watched everyone.
Yeah.
So then we jump. Let's go to the West, right? Because we know we made the finals, and people pretty much expected us to make the finals. Let's go to the West. They say it's a gauntlet for Dallas. I love that word, gauntlet. Until I look at the goddamn gauntlet, and I'm like, it's looking like a tricky obstacle course that's easy, but you're calling it hard for your kids. Like, oh, this is real hard, but it's some shit you can get through it, much easier than what somebody is saying. The Clippers, no one was really rooting for the Clippers, nor thought the Clippers really had a shot. They had no Kawhi. We said that Russell Westbrook was washed, James Harden was washed, and Paul George, please. They always say he's a playoff dropper, and he can't ever get over that hump. Can't carry a team. Why did it change this year? Because Dallas played them. I don't understand that. The narrative switched all of a sudden. So you were impressed with that win when you said they weren't good enough in the first place. So what fucking gauntlet are you talking about? The second round, you played an undersized and baby OKC team. No big man help. Chet was literally trying to do everything on his own. They let PJ Washington just go off. PJ Washington was firing. The OKC didn't take the shots that was given to them. Every time they had a three, they second guessed everything, and did that pump fake, at the 3-point line, and did some other shit, and just killing the offensive momentum damn near every single game.
Not ready for it. Mm-hmm.
They weren't ready. That's my point. They just weren't ready. You were amazed that that's a fucking gauntlet, and that's the second round. And then you get to a Minnesota team. Everyone hates Karl Anthony Towns.
Yeah.
And no one likes Rudy Gobert.
Yep.
But everyone loves Ant Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
A 22-year-old who had been playing relatively not that, he ain't been playing that good. And up to that third round, he still wasn't playing that good. And it's because he's young.
Yeah.
You guys anoint people without them earning anything. There's nothing for them to earn. You're just anointing people. Like, oh, you're this, you're baby Jordan, you're that. The child, he's a kid.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic player.
Yeah.
But he has a long way to go. And then Minnesota, you were impressed because they beat Denver, a team that they were built to beat. So then Dallas does it because Dallas has two better closers, two better shooters, and they know how not to go on those scoring droughts because they can use that, like that IQ versus a younger team, who still has not figured out how to get better jump shooters. They don't have better jump shooters this year. Cat 4 of 1,000. Rudy Gobert is not another offensive threat, and he's also slow to defend certain bigs, and at a certain time, pulling him out that paint. And then Luka takes over, and Kyrie takes over.
Mm-hmm.
That might have been their most challenging series.
Yep.
But it wasn't a gauntlet.
No.
It was a challenging series, yes. But I'm not shocked at any of those wins for Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
I actually picked Dallas. Only time I didn't pick Dallas was the first round, but I thought Kawhi would have been back.
Yeah.
And that's the only reason I didn't pick Dallas. After I saw Kawhi wasn't coming back, I said, okay, that's a Dallas win probably. And then OKC, I was confident. I said Dallas is going to win that. And then I was very confident versus Minnesota. I said Dallas is going to win that again. I said I trust those two closers over Minnesota. And then you get to the finals, and then it's like everybody is just doing these backflips, and they're so enamored with Dallas because they're basically saying they got through a gauntlet. And I'm still trying to figure out what gauntlet are you talking about? Oh, I could not believe that people were picking Dallas in 5, 6, 7. And I said, why? Because of two players. One and one that you put so high on a goddamn pedestal, you forgot that he just got swept by the same Boston team 2 years ago.
Yep.
And I don't know if the roster is much better in Dallas. I'll be very honest about that.
Mm-hmm.
And he just got swept. And this team for Boston is better. I said Boston at 5. Because I thought that Dallas would have won game 3 and Boston would have won 4 and 5. Instead, Dallas won game 4 and Boston closed it out in 5. They were never not going to win that series. They don't match up well. Dallas doesn't match up well with Boston. You have young centers. You don't have good shooters. Your bench is weak. DJJ is a good defender, but offensively, I can leave him open in the ocean and he would probably still miss 50 shots.
Yeah.
You know, PJ Washington, very solid, but took him out of the whole series. He just was not effective the whole series. And then you forget we know how to guard Kyrie Irving.
Mm-hmm.
Took him out of the series. He had like maybe one good game, 1.5 good games. And then Luka, JB was like, I got that. Why? Because the way JB defends is perfect for Luka.
Made it tough.
So Boston wins in 5. I got a question for you.
Go ahead.
It's always a big thing now because of the finals MVP. Do you think they got it right?
I think they got it right. I think Jaylen Brown had like a good series against Dallas. You know, I think they picked him for Finals MVP just because he had bigger moments than Jason Tatum. But Jason Tatum played like a smart type of series. Everybody was crapping on Jason Tatum on the scoring side of it, but at the end of the day, Jason Tatum was the highest scorer in that blowout that Dallas won, and he closed it out in Game 5 by scoring the basketball. But people don't look at the passing that he has done with the play, the playmaking, and also his defense, getting some key steals. Also, he was getting rebounds. He was the best rebounder in the series for Boston. So, but I think they picked Jaylen just because of the big moments. So I picked Jaylen Brown for Finals MVP. I picked Jaylen Brown for Finals MVP. What about you?
So here's the thing. The only thing Jason Tatum didn't do well was shoot the ball.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah.
Other than that, he averaged 22, 8 and 8 or 9 and 8 or something like that.
Almost a triple double, yeah.
Basically, and even the game when he almost had a triple double, I think it was game 2 or 3. He had 18 points, 9 rebounds, 12 assists. 12 assists. Same game, Luka had 32, 11, and 11, right? So he out assists Luka that game. The highest assist person was Jason Tatum. A lot of those points were going to Drew Holiday. We're going to Jaylen Brown. On top of him guarding the bigs. It's very hard to find other bigs who want to guard other bigs.
Yeah.
This man is technically a small forward, and he said, I got the bigs.
Yep.
And he did it the whole series.
He did.
I don't think that necessarily Jaylen Brown had a better series than Jason Tatum. He shot better, if that's what you want to say. Yeah. But if you really want to think about it, because everyone is so fixated on Luka, that's what people rest their hats on. When he guarded Luka and he made Luka, shoot, 10 of whatever, and he didn't shoot well. And he was putting Luka in hell. You were so fixated on Luka, not realizing that Jason Tatum was taking away Luka's easy lobs.
Yes.
Jason Tatum was literally saying, yeah, you're not getting that. You're not going off, with all those assists and all that stuff like that. He's like, I'm going to take the bigs away from your game and make you play one-on-one, or make you and Kyrie play one-on-one or 1-on-5, 2-on-5 or whatever. And he didn't get a lot of credit for that. He doesn't get credit for it.
It gets lost because everybody gets so fixated of scoring the basketball, then passing, rebounding, defense. It reminds me of Iguodala when he won Finals MVP. when all he did was guard LeBron and score some points, when Curry should have won Finals MVP in 2015. So it's a lost arc. I wouldn't have a problem if they gave it to Jason Tatum because I was like, either Jaylen or Jason's going to get it. Or even Drew Holiday. Drew Holiday had a really good series, but people don't even talk about the impact Drew Holiday had. So, but what I think too, as well, what they're doing is that they're creating a narrative for Jaylen Brown as the much better player than Jason Tatum, which is why he probably got Finals MVP, so they can create the narrative of Jaylen's better than Jason. Jaylen's the best player on the Boston Celtics. Jaylen Brown's going to be a top 10 player. Jason Tatum's going to be out in the top 10. And I just find it so ridiculous that they won a championship together, but they want to create this whole spin on of this is Jaylen's team now.
This is the thing. It's both their teams.
Exactly.
You know, I think that Jaylen played wonderfully. I enjoyed watching Jaylen so much in the playoffs in general. I think this year was my favorite year of Jaylen. Yeah, honestly, let's just go back to October. I was just so happy with Jaylen, and I was happy with him in the playoffs. I was more than happy with him in the finals. You know, I'm okay with him getting Finals MVP. I don't like the narratives, though.
That's the problem.
I'm not really narrative driven. You know, and if you're gonna talk about basketball, talk about the whole thing. Talk about what Jason Tatum did. All you talk about is his field goal percentage.
That's all they talk about.
I can bring up top 10 players that have had some shitty, field goal percentages, and y'all don't bring that up because you're like, well, that's this person, and you're enamored with them. You like their game more, so therefore that's okay. It's all right, like it's, that person didn't shoot well, but it's like they did other things. Jason did other things. They call him a role player. And he gets carried. I'm like, I've never seen a role player like get so game planned for that they get doubled. Why are you doubling a role player? That doesn't make sense to me.
Exactly.
You don't double a role player. So, all in all, I say all that. And thank you for letting me go on with all that. All in all, I say this to say this. All right, say that to say this. You motherfuckers weren't going to beat us anyway. You motherfuckers weren't going to win. This was not your year. And you could clearly tell you motherfuckers weren't going to beat us. You just weren't. You weren't. It's not your year. It's okay. It's okay. It's never Philly's year. Philly just doesn't have a year. They fucking suck all the time. Milwaukee, please. I mean, there were so many problems with that damn team. The team that literally stayed focused with health concerns with one of their big three. He did not play the whole playoffs, and they still were able to push through, and he was a big part of what they were doing, a huge part of it. And they still go on to win. It's not our fault that Denver was only good enough to meet the Lakers this year and then lose all these leads and then lose to the Minnesota Timberwolves. It's not our fault that the Minnesota Timberwolves' goal was to beat Denver. And once they did that, they're like, well, shit, I'm done. That was my championship. It's not our fault that the Clippers are never going to get it done with that group specifically. It's not our fault that OKC is young and they need a little bit more. And they got a little bit better today. But they need a little bit more, in the playoffs. And it's not our fault that our team has a competent GM that made the right trades. And then we went out, executed, and got a championship. This was our year. And you people saying that we shouldn't have, we weren't going to win because we lost in 22. Drink bleach.
Well, Epic mic drop. I don't even have to say anything else. What you just said, it was totally the best rant I ever heard. So I don't even have to say anything else. Boston Celtics, your 2024 NBA champions. And this wraps up for Celtics Rewind because she said everything I wanted to say right there.
The parade is tomorrow. I'm gonna be there. All right. Catch me. All right. Boston Celtics fans. All right. We are taking over tomorrow. Okay. We're gonna be on everybody's TV. Turn on the news. You're gonna see us, but I'm gonna be at the damn parade. You know why? Because I'm a 2-time champion. I got 2 chips in my lifetime. I got 2 of them. And you damn right. I was at the first one, and I'm a damn sure be at the second one.
Hey, send me some pictures because I want to see. I want to see you lit tomorrow right here. So parade is tomorrow, and like I said, NBA champion Boston Celtics. This wraps up Celtics Rewind, and I'm JP the franchise. She's Nat the Champ, not the GM no more. The Champ, or should I say Nat 2 times champ? Okay, and
It's over. Time to say it again, Boston. Anything's possible. Banner number 18 has been secured. The Celtics are NBA champions.